St. Louis is undefeated in Major League Soccer. Who'da thunk it?
Not us.
Okay, they defeat RSL.
Remember when we spoke to Lutz Pfannenstiel, and at the end of the interview, I'm like, great guy, that team's going to suck. And here we are, bro. We was wrong.
Okay, we got Fannin steeled.
Songaroom, bro. Hold on. Songaroom in the chat room. Mom and Dad, please stop fighting.
Unbelievable. So St. Louis, they obviously, João Klaus gets 2 goals, gets an assist.
Yeah, I mean, we got to stop counting these as goals. If you can literally pass the ball to you, it keeps happening.
They know. They know before the games.
He's
right?
a big dude. It's not like he's hiding behind somebody.
And this was like the most egregious one, too, because was it more egregious? Who did they play? Orlando?
The first one was
to Jared Stroud.
Yeah. Who was a former teammate.
The first one to João Klaus was also pretty bad. This one, it felt like he was. I couldn't tell, maybe because of the camera angle. It looked like, I forgot who passed it to him, but it looked. I mean, he must have been 5 feet away, closer than COVID distance, right?
This was it. that was the pass.
He was looking.
I just handed him his
He
cell
was
phone,
looking at. He might have been like doing an Eskimo kiss to João Klaus when he passed it to him, bro. He was close to him.
He smelled João Klaus's breath. That's how close he was.
He was super go and passed it the ball. And
Doughboy said Klaus is Sloth from the Goonies. Why is he getting cooked? Why is he getting cooked?
Bro, if Sloth from the Goonies could score goals like that, I'd take him on.
Dude.
If you pass him the ball, he might sink a couple of them in.
Without a doubt.
Somebody should have passed DK the ball.
But St. Louis, the fact they week in and week out, people are like, oh, this is the last one. They're not going to do this, especially.
Well, they're about to play Seattle. I think after the next game. I think next is Minnesota, which is also undefeated, by the way. Not in the same way.
Right. Nah.
They just haven't lost. They're not really Vibes FC like St. Louis City is.
They look great. I mean, and also
They don't look great.
You don't think?
No, they don't look great. They look like they're playing with a lot of energy. This might be a reference you might not get, but do you remember when Blackpool made it into the Premier League?
I do not.
Okay, so it was a huge, this might be 2010, 2011, when I was a few years after I was born, by the way. I just look like shit. So Blackpool makes it in, and Blackpool was like a small club. They have not been back since. Tangerines, they won their first few games, but it was all like emotion and running around like crazy. Right. And, this could go on forever. And then very quickly, reality set in. It feels a little bit like MLS was like, hey, let's drop the schedule. Hey, let's make it a little easier for. Then again, I mean, St. Louis is the team that most teams assume they would be able to beat up on.
Yeah, but even to do it on the road as well.
I have a hot take, though. You want to hear my hot take?
Okay, but before you say your hot take, you're saying that they gave them a quote-unquote easier schedule.
It seems like it.
The first game was Austin away. The team that got to the conference final, the Western Conference. So I don't agree with that.
You're right. I think
sentiment.
that's the first shot. You're right. And as I said, it seems like. But here's my hot take. The way Carnell, their coach, wants to play, he comes from the Ralph Ball system. He comes from the gegenpressing system. Mm-hmm. The way he wants to play, and I know other teams have done this, but it seems like St. Louis is the first team that's like physically been set up to play this way. Mm-hmm. It feels like you can do this in MLS because not every player you're going to press has the technical ability to get out of a press quickly.
Okay.
So this feels a little bit like cheating in a way. Like this wouldn't work elsewhere. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's cheating, but it feels a little bit like circumstantial.
I think you are underestimating the quality of players in MLS.
I said some of the players you run here. Stop it. Don't say I'm. Because I don't want to get booed by the players. Because then I got to go on the stream and tell people this is my
They've
feelings.
seen high presses before.
But this is a pretty aggressive press.
I think it's one of those that the for an expansion team, especially the St. Louis players understand each other, right? Like even the giveaway to João Klaus, like it was two defenders on on the player with the ball to kind of force them to make a mistake, and so it's they just understand each other better than most teams that you have, who have just met a couple months ago. It's like I don't even know if they all know each other's names. And the fact that they play with this kind of chemistry is a credit to the coaching staff. So
who got hired before any players? Imagine you're a coach of what? We're not sure yet. It's a great question. But I guess I'm just not sold. On
5 games in, I'm like, it looks legit to me.
Let me look at their schedule because they play Seattle, and then right after that, there you go. They play Minnesota. Next, they play Minnesota. Then they go away to Seattle. That's a L. If they win that, then I'll be like, all right, maybe I was wrong. Then they go. They're back home to play Cincinnati, which is also an undefeated team.
I think they
play 2 undefeated.
Minnesota
teams.
has been really, really good defensively, and then they also just signed a DP. I forgot his name. It came from Wolves. The Korean guy.
The Korean guy. Who's going to be up
Hwang
top.
Hee-chan, I believe.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You better be right. We are in serious trouble.
So this is the game against Minnesota. I think they drop points, but I don't think they lose.
When do they cease to be undefeated? So they go away to they have Minnesota at home. They go away to Seattle. Cincinnati at home, away to Colorado. That's a win. And then they come back for Portland, and then they go away to Dallas. So we got Minnesota away, Minnesota home, Seattle away, Cincinnati away. Tell me when you think
I think they
cease to be undefeated.
I'm going to say they against Seattle. I'd be very, very shocked if they beat Seattle. Kevincho in the chat just says St. Louis has played together for so long. They played in an MLS Next Pro, so there definitely are some players that have played together for a little bit. But I mean, we can't. It's in MLS.
Let's
it's
be
a
honest.
different level. I mean,
João
let's
Klaus isn't a great player, right?
I mean, he's doing what he got to do.
Okay, that should be on the crest.
But
we doing what we got to do. That might be Seattle's slogan as a city. Never mind the club.
2 goals and an assist and against RSL, and then the goal. I mean, the one goal that was a gimme. He still had to do some
that
work.
Counts.
But
the other one was pretty great.
The other one was a great goal. It was who was it? Justin Glad didn't really clear the ball. Took one bounce and he cracked it to the bottom right.
They're just going to be handed to this guy.
But the fact that he's just where he needs to be and then can also do the things that he does is I'm not gonna say prolific scorer, but he's clearly a great striker.
Yeah, he's gutting it out, which is a compliment. Look, Lowen is playing well. I don't want to take too much away from them. I think Lutz did an incredible job of putting this team together. I think Coach Carnell looks like he's picked the right tactics to make them successful.
Mm-hmm.
And if this keeps going, even if they're not undefeated, if this just keeps going and they keep playing well and they're a tough team to beat and they play, every once in a while they beat a club that they're really not supposed to, then that's a win. I mean, St. Louis also feels like they're preparing themselves to be one of the bigger selling clubs, but I feel like they want to sell a lot of players for good money as opposed to 1 or 2 for big money. They don't want to be going out. They're not getting Thiago Almadas.
Sure. But right now, I think we're seeing a club that is very much sort of looks like a Bundesliga club or looks like a lower bottom of the table kind of Bundesliga.
Stop it. That's too much.
Really? I mean, it's literally a bunch of Germans running the club. And no, it doesn't look like any German.
No, it don't. By the way, João Klaus is Brazilian.
He is Brazilian, but he did play in Germany.
That's that's Giselle Bündchen's
the Giselle Bündchen player.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a big German-looking, German-sounding Brazilian.